Hello, everyone. I'm James Milan. Welcome to this town hall update. I am joined, of course, by our town manager, Sandy Pooler. Sandy, happy 2023 to you.
Happy New Year to you and to everybody in town.
Great. Let us hope it is let's hope it's just better than the last one and the one before that and the one before that. We'll settle for that. Um,
Exactly.
Sandy, we've got, New Year's same as the old year. Lots to talk about, right? So today we want to make sure that we cover, the town's recent announcement prohibiting the use of certain rodenticides, and also the closing of the Lyons Hearing Room in Town Hall because of water damage. And then we want to talk about the town's communication survey. So all that's out in front of us. But let's start where we usually do with you at this time of year. We have often sought you out in January before you were town manager, as a deputy town manager, as our authority on next year's town budget. And that's what we want to talk about today. Of course, we're talking about the 2023-24 budget, which I think the first day is July 1st of this year. Is that right for this new budget?
Yeah, the FY24 budget starts
Or
July 1st,
FY24?
and under the Town Manager Act, which is, people may know, is Arlington's charter. It's like our Constitution. It requires me as town manager to deliver a budget to the Select Board and the Finance Committee by January 15th. This year, that happens to be a Sunday, so I'm delivering it tomorrow, Friday the 13th, although I hope it's still going to be a lucky budget.
Auspicious, yes.
Um, so yeah, we put together an initial financial plan every year, this time of year. This year, I'll be putting forward an overall budget for the general fund that's about $206 million. It's the first time the town budget has cleared $200 million. It is a budget that has some things that are solid and some things that are in transition or variable. The solid part of it is that we know that our base of funding, which is property taxes, which make up about 75% of the budget, those grow pretty solidly every year. And that is good in that we know what we get. It is limiting because under Prop 2.5, it doesn't really give us enough money to meet our needs. We have a lot of questions about what the state is going to give us in state aid this year. And it's particularly difficult this year because with a new governor, she has until March 1st to deliver her budget, which will then tell us what our state aid is going to be. So what does that all mean for town government and for the residents? I can tell you that on the town side, we are keeping with the parameters that have been set out in our long-range plan for years. We are not really growing the town budget in terms of personnel. There are no new staff on the budget. We do have to cover increases in our trash contract, which we signed a couple of years ago with Republic when they bought JRM and are now picking up our trash, and there's automatic increases there. The second thing that's happening in this coming year is that we'll be opening up the new parts of the DPW that house the Inspectional Services Department and the IT department.
Mhm.
And so we have all these utility costs that will have to be taken up there. Facilities is also taking over the community center, and we have to increase their budget to cover that. And then we just have increases from our collective bargaining contracts that are, some of them are just kicking in this year for the first time. That really leaves no room for other changes. So I've had to say no to a lot of department head requests this year. We'll maintain our core services, but there won't really be much expansion. The other thing, and I know I've going on for a little while about this, but the other thing that we really have to face up to is whether we're going to need an override this coming June. I don't yet know the answer to that, and I won't really know the answer to that until the governor's budget comes out in March and we see how much state aid we get. We've had some pretty good state aid numbers in the last few years because we've had increased school enrollment, and that's been matched by increased state aid, Chapter 70 aid.
Mhm.
But what the new governor does with that and how she increases our state aid remains to be seen. So hold your breath until March for a further announcement about the likelihood for an override in the spring.
All right. Yes, people will certainly be awaiting that word. Can I ask you a point of clarification? My sense from what you said is that because Maura Healey is a new governor, does that mean that she has a little bit more time to get that budget together, that usually it wouldn't last all the way until March 1st, this kind of state of suspense?
That's right. Usually, under the state constitution, the governor has to put out a budget um, by the end of January, or frankly, the third week of January. But when there's a new governor, the new governor has until March 1st. So 3 out of 4 years, we basically would have known by next week what the budget is. On the fourth year, we have to wait till March.
Got it. Okay, we had said that we also wanted to talk about some other stuff, and if people can get their minds off the idea of a potential override for a moment, let's talk about the situation with the rodenticides that have been recently prohibited.
Yeah. So there are these rat poisons essentially that are called second generation anticoagulant rodenticides. When we poison the rats with them, it basically causes internal bleeding. That is good for killing rats, but the downside of it is that if then certain predators or particularly birds of prey eat those dead rats, they also are killed. And we recently had a great horned owl who showed signs of those anticoagulants. So we're pretty sure that that was as a result of these second generation anticoagulants. So I put out a policy banning the use of these rodenticides by town departments. And we are doing that. It's in conformity with a vote by town meeting last year asking that we no longer use these rodenticides. So that's gone into effect immediately. We're starting to talk to our department heads about it and to the contractors that they use so that they can transition away from them. We would like to be able to ban this by all contractors in town, but we don't have the authority yet to do that. At some point, the state may give that to us, but at least we can take a good first step with having the town stop using these kind of rodenticides.
Yeah, it's certainly a problem that's been identified for a while here in town, and I know many of us, have been really uncomfortable with the continuing use. So this is good news as far as that goes. Not such good news. Tell us what is going on with the Lyons Hearing Room, which is one of the, favorite public spaces around town there in Town Hall. And I hear there's water damage that means it's not going to be accessible for a while.
That's right. That room has had problems for many years, but they've gotten really worse lately. What it all relates to is there's a kind of bell tower at the top of Town Hall. And when the town hall was built, it wasn't really built in a way that prevents water from coming in through that bell tower, both for just regular rain and there are various leaks. There have been attempts over the years to try to patch things up and so forth, but it really hasn't done the trick. So what we're going to have to do is essentially wrap the whole thing in plastic. We may have to take it down at some point, and we're doing a number of different studies, basically using lasers to map out all the dimensions of the tower itself and the decorations around it. So at some point we can replace it. I know Jim Feeney, the deputy town manager, has done a lot of work on this, and he's applied to the Community Preservation Act Committee, Community Preservation Act Committee for funds to do major repairs to the tower. But people will see plastic wrap up there, and because the the ceiling, really, it's in terrible shape, the worst I've ever seen it. There's concern that some of it could fall, and so we've just had to close the room to the public.
Yeah, so tough news, but like you said, a long time coming. So just gonna have to deal with it, and we will await the return of one of those iconic images of Arlington that is Town Hall with the clock tower, et cetera. We'll check in with you for further news about that as the project unfolds. Okay, so last thing for today, Sandy, let me ask you about the communication survey that we know has been out and available for folks to fill out, and I know there's a couple of questions about ACMi and these updates in there, so we're aware of it. And we are certainly encouraging our members and residents throughout town to fill out the survey if at all possible. But please give us your 2 cents on that.
Yeah, so the town for a long time has had a vigorous effort to communicate with the public, to be completely transparent about all of our activities. And so every 2 years we put out a survey asking people how we're doing and how that communication works. There'll be questions about the website, about town notices, about Arlington alerts, about ACMi. We want to hear people's feedback. You can go to the town website if you haven't already gotten a notice asking you to take the survey, and right there under the news section, there's a place you can click. It takes about 5 minutes, and we want to hear from you and let us know how we're doing in terms of communicating with you. So I encourage everybody to do that. The deadline for filling it out is February 19th, but don't wait till then. Try to fill it out sooner and let us know what you think.
And I've got to spill something right here. I have filled out the survey myself as a resident, and you know what? I found these updates to be quite informative.
Excellent.
All right. Well, this one certainly meets that categorization as well as the others you have done. We appreciate your time, Sandy, because this is important information to get out to the Arlington public, and hopefully in a bite-sized chunk that most people can take in, along with their the rest of the stuff that they are kind of buffeted by each day. So thanks again. I have been speaking, of course, with our town manager. He is Sandy Pooler. I am James Milan. This has been a Town Hall update. We appreciate Sandy's time. We really do. And we appreciate yours. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next time.